Hi, it's Dr. Jen, and I am making this video for friends and family of anyone who is going through benzodiazepine withdrawal. And I think it's important that more information is out in the general public regarding benzodiazepine withdrawal. These drugs have been on the market for decades, and they've been harming people for decades, but sadly the medical community has been very slow to catch up with the information that's out there. The medical community, for the most part, doesn't understand the damage that the drugs do, and they don't understand how to help someone get off the drugs safely, and they don't understand how to support somebody as they are healing from a benzodiazepine injury. And that's what withdrawal is. It is a benzodiazepine injury syndrome, otherwise known as benzo withdrawal. But using the word withdrawal doesn't really quite cover it because the drug is long out of our systems. But what is happening is that we're having symptoms because the drug damaged a part of our brain and our nervous system, our GABA receptors. And so what we are dealing with is not the drug leaving our body or toxicity from the drug and whatnot, it's actual damage. So people going through what is known as benzodiazepine or benzo withdrawal, they are coping with a chemical brain injury. So the drug works by it works by helping the body have more calming things. Don't want to get into all the science of all the words, but just know there's two systems in the body. There's glutamate, which is the gas pedal, go, go, go. And there's GABA, which is the brake, the inhibitory system. Slow down. Let's calm down. So the drug works by helping that inhibitory system, but by helping that system, it also harms that system because the brain hates being forced to do something it isn't designed to do. So eventually the receptors that the drug works with, they no longer function. So now we have a body that doesn't have its physical capabilities of calming itself down. And of course, there's probably a lot of other things that go on with this. Nobody's, to my knowledge, ever been able to look at a living human brain under a microscope. So we're taking some guesses, but not much works in isolation. So, probably all the other neurotransmitters and activities in the brain, they get altered because the inhibitory system isn't working very well. But what we do know is that with a benzodiazepine injury syndrome, we know that there are a set of symptoms that come with it, and people can have dozens of symptoms, or they might have just one or two. Everybody's different, but those symptoms can be overwhelming, and they can often look like new or worsening of a psychiatric condition. People in benzodiazepine withdrawal are often diagnosed with OCD, panic disorder, depressive disorder, bipolar disorder, borderline personality. We're told we have MS, that we have ALS, that we have Lyme. So benzo withdrawal can mimic a lot of illnesses, whether they're psychiatric or physical. And it's an excruciating thing for some of us to go through because everything that we know about ourselves changes. And many of us, myself included, I didn't know who I was. And I'm not saying that like as a figure of speech, like I literally lost touch with everything that makes me, me. Everything, my beliefs, my creativity, my talents, my passions, everything. And it can be a very frightening journey to go on to get off of a benzo and to recover. So let's just talk a little bit about when somebody's on the drug, they might go into something that's called tolerance withdrawal. So they're already exhibiting signs of having a chemical dependency and having a downregulated GABA system. So if your friend or loved one has been on the drug, and this can happen in a matter of days for some people. So if your friend or loved one is on the drug and they're starting to exhibit new behaviors or new fears or old fears that have been, now the volume's turned way up on them, they very well could be intolerance withdrawal. And then when you're tapering off the drug, you can have a whole host of symptoms arise. And some people get so sick that they are bedbound. I was for a long time. And I had to use a walker, and then I used a cane. Some of us get very badly damaged, and it takes a while to heal. And then once you're off, most people will go through some sort of time frame where they are healing. The drug's not in their body anymore. Now their body really can step up the healing. And that can take weeks. It can take months, and for some of us, it can take years. Now, that doesn't mean that you're just suffering acutely for years and years, but until all the symptoms go away, it can take some time. So it's important to understand that this benzo withdrawal is a legitimate medical crisis. And your loved one, even if they have been a drama queen and they like to exaggerate, let me tell you, in benzo withdrawal, when they say that they're really suffering, they're not exaggerating anything. They're not being a drama queen. They really are suffering, and they're really frightened. It is just truly a horrendous thing to go through for some of us. Now, some people can get off the drug and not be that damaged, but for those of us that are hit hard, it's quite a challenge. So please listen to your friend or your loved one. And one of the best things you can do for them is not to give unasked for advice, because unasked for advice, actually for every human being, turns on our threat detection circuitry and puts our nervous system in a sympathetic fight or flight or a parasympathetic dorsal vagal shutdown, fight, flight, or freeze. So you don't want to give unasked for advice, because that's a judgment in its own way. So don't tell them, well, you should go see your doctor, or you should do this or should do that. Try to avoid that to the best of your ability. One of the best things that you can do for them is to just ask simply, what do you need and how can I help? And trust that they have some wisdom about this process. And if they say, I am not supposed to have that supplement, or I'm not supposed to take that medicine, or whatever, and you say, well, how do you know that? And they say, well, I learned it off the internet. Please believe them. Please believe that they have some wisdom. Yes, it's been gleaned from the internet, but because doctors, for the most part, are so uneducated about this syndrome, that they will tell people they'll give inaccurate advice as to how to get through this. So I've been in the benzo community for 10 years. I lived through my own withdrawal, and I've helped people for a very long time. And when you're in the community, you gather the anecdotal evidence, and you kind of know just from other people's experience, kind of the do's and don'ts of benzo withdrawal. And then fortunately, we do have a few educated doctors that step up to the plate and say, yes, the people in benzo withdrawal who've been saying don't do this or don't do that, they're right. So we do have some medical, professional licensed medical doctors that are on board and understand this. So when you're dealing with your loved one, please just ask them, what do you need and how can I help? And listen to them, and don't put down what they have learned from the internet. Now, some of the internet advice might not be correct. Everything on the internet isn't correct, but at least hear them out and listen to them, and maybe do some of your own research, to see, are they right or not? A lot of friends and family just insist that their loved one goes to the doctor. Go to the doctor, or go to a psychiatric hospital. Go get some medicine to help this. And sadly, there are a few medicines that can kind of take the edge off, but there are no medicines that cure benzo withdrawal. And a lot of those medicines that can take the edge off have their own withdrawal, syndrome that someone's going to have to go through. Or they can, in some cases, make our withdrawal symptoms worse. So this isn't something that somebody can just go to the doctor and get fixed. This isn't having strep throat and you go get some penicillin. This isn't a broken bone and you go get your bone set. This is a syndrome that takes time to recover from. But we do eventually. And there are some things that we can do to stack those cards, to stack those cards in our favor so that we can heal, hopefully more quickly and more solidly, so to speak. And those are the 4 cornerstones of well-being. Eat right, which is a whole food plant-based diet, move enough, stress less, and love well. And I focus on all those things with my clients. But outside of those 4 cornerstones and time, there's not much that a doctor is going to be able to do. Now, of course, if your friend or loved one has symptoms that look very frightening, and you really are worried about, is this a dangerous thing? Of course, I'm always telling my clients, go get checked out. But if a doctor can't find anything that they can legitimately give a diagnosis to, then maybe we can rest easy knowing it's just benzo withdrawal. So insisting that your loved one see a doctor to fix benzo withdrawal, it can make your loved one feel defensive, and that's not helpful. So, I know it's kind of a slippery slope to, you want to get them help, but you don't want to overstep. But just be mindful that there's not a lot that a doctor can do. Yes, but go see, always encouraging people, see a doctor, rule out anything else. But it's important that we don't fall down the rabbit hole and, we're trying to get off, or we're off one drug and now we're on 2 or 3 or 5 others, especially since those aren't going to cure benzo withdrawal. Know that suicide ideation is a real problem in benzo withdrawal, and it needs to be focused on. We need to take it seriously. People have it a lot of the time, and they don't want to act on it. But it is a very real component to benzo withdrawal. So if your friend or loved one has SI, suicide ideation, please talk to them about it. And, don't just think that they're just crying wolf or they're just needing too much attention. It's a very real part of benzo withdrawal. Make sure they don't have a plan. Make sure that they feel supported. If they need somebody around them for 24 hours a day for a while, see if that can happen. There's just so much that I want to tell friends and families about benzo withdrawal. It's a very complex and complicated syndrome. And I know it's really hard on people that are trying to be supportive. Benzo withdrawal has torn families apart. It has driven away friendships. I know I lost a few of my friends, never to return in my life from going through this syndrome. Because we are so not ourselves. We are extraordinarily needy. Even people who, are CEOs of companies. I have helped doctors. I've helped some psychiatrists. I have helped some, licensed psychologists. I've helped people in the medical community who were the Rock of Gibraltar in their community get through this. And they were very different people going through this. They said, I'm so scared. I'm so needy. This is so challenging. So your friend or loved one could be exceptionally needy. They might call you at all hours of the day. They just need reassurance. Because you just walk around in a perpetual state of fear and terror and panic and doom and gloom and catastrophic thinking and all these aches and pains and twitches and, at times uncontrollable body movement sometimes. The symptoms are so torturous for many of us. So know that they're going to be very needy. And I know that's really hard. I know that's really hard if you're trying to support someone. Compassion fatigue is a very, very real thing. So please don't feel guilty if you're just like, you've had it up to here. Like, I can't hear another word of this. That's okay. Go take care of yourself. Take some time off. Let your loved one know I've got to go recharge my batteries. And go recharge your batteries. And if you need to get some outside help and support to be with that person or to talk to that person, and you can afford to do that, then do that. But do just take good care of yourself, because I know this is really hard. But I want you to know that your friend or your loved one, they are doing their very best. Their very, very best. This is so hard to get through. And they're probably embarrassed over how needy they are, or how sick they are, or how disruptive they are to their friends or their family. We feel a lot of guilt in benzo withdrawal, just because of the circumstances, but also because of the state of our nervous system drives guilt and shame. So, you know, your loved one is not feeling good about this situation, but please take very, very good care of yourself. It's just critical that you do that. And if you need some education about what your friend or loved one is going through, I'm happy to talk to family members or to friends. I'm even happy to interact with someone's doctor or their medical team, you know, whether that's a psychiatrist or a therapist, and to help them become more educated about benzo withdrawal and the things that we can do to stack the cards in our favor to hopefully shorten our recovery time, but to ensure that when we recover in all the important ways. And it's important to remember that even if your friend or loved one was put on a benzo for anxiety, and what they're experiencing now looks like their old anxiety, most likely the vast majority of it is driven by benzo withdrawal. Yes, those of us that were put on the drug for anxiety or panic, you know, we bring ourselves to the party. But it's not just our old anxiety. It's not like, well, see, you know, you don't have enough medicine in your body, or you're off your meds, so you just need to be back on your meds. It's not that. Because people who've never had a day of anxiety or panic in their life will experience horrendous anxiety and sometimes panic going through benzo withdrawal. It's because of this chemical brain injury. So please don't just assume that what your loved one is going through is just their old pre-existing or whatever, because most likely it is not. Yes, they're going to bring something to the party. I certainly brought my old anxiety to the party, so to speak. But as I got more well and had to face benzo withdrawal, and I focused on those 4 cornerstones, I rewired my nervous system. I don't have my pre-existing. And many of my clients, when you really do work the 4 cornerstones, when they get through benzo withdrawal, their pre-existing is either so minor that they can cope with it, or it's even gone. So I just don't want you to assume that what someone is going through is just their old stuff breaking through, because that is probably not the case. So, you know, just insisting, oh, get back on your meds, or go get some other med, isn't very helpful to us going through benzo withdrawal. There's so many more things, as I said, I'd like to share with you, but I realize this has become a much longer video than I expected, and I hope that people will sit through it, and I appreciate you taking the time. And I know that your loved one appreciates that you taking the time to get a little bit more educated about benzo withdrawal. It truly is a medical crisis for many of us, and the medical profession, by and large, is grossly uneducated about it. There are some. One of my dearest friends is a psychiatrist. He watched me go through it and was aghast and started educating himself. So I have been able to refer some clients of mine to him, because he is one of the few psychiatrists who truly understand benzo withdrawal. He's not been through it on his own, but he's now researched enough and is helpful. And as I said, I work with doctors, and they all say the same thing. I had no idea. It's never in the medical journals. We had no idea that benzos can do this to some people. Now, it doesn't harm everybody. About half the people can take them and have no problems, but the other half of us, we're not that lucky, and some of us really get badly damaged. My story was quite horrific, and I usually work with clients whose stories are equally horrific. But the good news is that we do recover in time. We really do. But until then, we need so much love and support and understanding and patience and comfort and compassion. That's really what your friend or your loved one needs most. Not unasked for advice, but just compassion. Just compassion. And know that we are not our best selves. We can be surly and unruly and ungrateful, and we can snap at you, and we can just come undone so easily because we don't have a functioning nervous system that's not functioning properly. So please bear with us and just love us through all the ugly, messy stuff. But take time off for yourselves and go get some help and to recharge. And if I can help anybody going through benzo withdrawal, that is what I am most passionate about in life. And you can go to my website, benzowithdrawalhelp.com. I also have a live support group, Mornings with Jen. It's posted on my website. You can go get information there. And if I can help anybody who is supporting somebody going through benzo withdrawal, you have a question, or if you just need to call and vent. I've got really big shoulders these days, and I've got a really big, wide open heart. And I will hold your hand and your heart, and I will listen. And I will hopefully be able to help you renew and refresh so that you can continue to being a caretaker. And thank you. I really do appreciate it. I've talked now for 21 minutes. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen to this. Helping somebody through benzo withdrawal is challenging. It's hard. But know that you are helping somebody who is in a true crisis, and you are doing an amazing thing to be kind and loving. And that help will never be forgotten, ever. So thank you so much, all of you, all the caretakers, care providers, all the supporters, all the friends, all the family, everybody who is out there loving and supporting somebody going through benzo withdrawal. From the bottom of my heart, I thank you.